This is GM Daniel Naroditsky. We are watching Anish Giri taking on Gukesh in their second game of their Tata Steel match to determine who faces Wei Yi in the finals. Now, Anish Giri, he won the first game in spectacular fashion in a time scramble. Gukesh must win this game with the black pieces in order to take this match to the Armageddon phase. And that explains his opening choice, a knight tango by Gukesh, as he brings both of his knights out early. Now, this is a rather dubious system. That knight on c6, it blocks the pawn on c7, which traditionally would like to be on c5 or on c6. But this is a great strategy by Gukesh, trying to unbalance the position as much as possible, create intrigue. And often to do that, you need to play dubiously. But right now, it's looking pretty sweet for Anish as he brings his bishop out to g5. And he was threatening to take twice on d5. He compelled Gukesh to trade in the center. But the upside for black is that that d4 pawn is now under significant fire, and a little bit of hesitation here from Anish Giri, who seems to have a great position. He's got that big center, and he's just supported it with a move e3. But Gukesh stays on top. h6 forces Anish to give up the bishop pair. Now black's got the dark squared bishop, and maybe at some point Gukesh can push e5 and apply more pressure on Anish's center. And queen c2 on the board, getting the queen away from the pin. Now a very careful move by Anish, pressuring the b7 pawn as Gukesh, he grabs some space on the queen side, kind of taking his time. This is the calm before the storm, as Giri brings his other rook to d1. Very methodical, very careful play from Anish Giri, who only needs a draw to qualify to the finals match against Wei Yi, and the knight sinks its teeth into b5. That was the square that Gukesh weakened by pushing his a pawn. Now, he can basically do the same thing by jumping into b4 with his knight, but that would be very unwise because of simply queen a4. And instead, he strikes at the center with e5. Is this the right time to do that? Well, it certainly seems to be, because now that light squared bishop on c8, it's rearing to go. It's rearing to jump into f5. There's a potential pin with white's queen on c2 and the rook on b1 aligned on the same diagonal, but the immediate bishop f5 will be very strongly met with e4. So Gukesh, he plays c6, trying to open up the center further. More hesitation here from Anish Giri. He can trade on c6, but he tries to keep the d-file closed. But is there e4 here? e4 opens up the dark squared bishop. It hits both knights. But Anish, he's planning to drop his knight into d4, and it looks like he's avoiding material losses. But suddenly Gukesh with a big initiative as he brings his bishop out to g4. Now e4 is a huge threat. It's a threat that Giri has to respond to. He can play e4 himself. Instead, he pushes h3. But this looks a little bit suspicious. Does Gukesh have some tactics here? Can he play e4 anyway? He does. Oh my goodness, look at this. If Giri takes the bishop, then Gukesh will take the knight with his pawn, and the other knight on c3 would have been lost. Instead, Giri takes on e4, a desperado sacrifice. But Gukesh calmly drops the bishop back to f5. Look at Anish's pieces. They're all suddenly under fire. Gukesh wins the pawn back. He recaptures it with his knight. There's also that weakness on c3. Forks and pins galore in the center. Giri tries to get that bishop off his back. g4 is on the board, but that's a very weakening move. And Gukesh is calculating some tactics here. I can feel it. Knight to c3. Another incredible move. And bishop to d3. This is what Anish Giri missed. And you can sense the anxiety. Giri is now on the ropes. He has to move his queen. Now Gukesh recaptures the knight, and look at those bishops. Like alligators, they're just snapping away at their prey. The rook moves up to b3. Anish trying to get the bishops off his back, but no, the bishop back to b4 it goes. It's a beautiful defended square. Bishop to c2 was a huge threat. And so Anish, he brings his knight out to e4, and it already feels like Gukesh might have some forced win here. Will he play a quiet move? Maybe king g7? No, the bishop on d3 is hanging. He's got to react to that. Bishop to c2, very methodically played. This forces Anish to trade rooks on d8, but that gives away the d-file. Now Gukesh has a terrifying check on d1. Oh, Giri's rook on b3. It has nowhere to go. He's got to give the check on f6. And simply knight, king g7. Now the queen moves up to e5. The rook on b3 is trapped. Anish Giri, he's forced to give up the exchange. He's losing. And he plays e4, trying to stabilize that knight on d5. Can he create some swindle chances? Can he capitalize on Gukesh's nervousness, his time pressure? Bishop to b1. Another incredible move. And Anish Giri, he's flagged. Frustration there as Anish Giri flags in a lost position. What a comeback win by Gukesh to force Armageddon in this fascinating tiebreaker match. Thank you so much for watching.